All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to April's monthly window shopping episode. So if you don't know what this is, or this is the first time you've seen a video, every month I like to look at the market, or the central market, on the NA server and to see how prices have changed throughout the month and show you guys who are interested, and I'll give you my opinions on is it worth buying it, which is generally most of the time, making it yourself, because there are some items that are generally like you have to make it yourself because just the supply and demand, and trends you could look for in like the whole market stuff. So anyway, with that said, these are videos I only do once a month because I can't do it weekly because sometimes nothing actually changes. So we'd like to do a monthly edition, and we look at the relevant items for the most part. So things that most people would look at after you graduate from seasons, that's where I would say more like your average player is at. And this is like super helpful for people who graduate seasons and you're like, which item should I take from my graduation? And you just compare the prices and everything. So I'm actually curious if there's anything you guys see throughout the month, or like throughout the month and the market, comparing it with the server you're playing on. Feel free to leave that in the comments. But with that said, keep in mind this is on the North American server and things are quite different on other ones. So as usual, we like to look at the three relevant weapons. For the most part, weapons are roughly the same min-max. And so we like to look at the Zarka price, Black Star. Yeah, those are really the two relevant ones. Often and God Eye, just a little bit different. We'll talk about those later. But let's see. For a Pen Zarka, that is 6.5, 7 billion. Okay. And let's see. Over the past 3 months, it's technically have gone up, but it's going down in terms of this trend. And so usually when people graduate from seasons, my recommendation for you guys is like if you could take a weapon, like you know how you can convert your Tubala into a boss gear. Usually I tell people to take a weapon first, but which one? Usually the Zarka, because the main hand generally gives you a lot more accuracy than an awakening weapon. So if you plan on doing any sort of PvP, having an extra like, I don't know, 200 accuracy actually means a lot, especially if you're moving up into the end game. Accuracy is a lot more important than like 3 or 4 extra AP that you'll get. So for your average player, I think that the main hand is overall the best one to choose. So for your later players, moving from like Capra something main hand into a Black Star, what are we looking at? Roughly 13 billion for a main hand Black Star. Last month, I remember in March, we were looking at this and it was about 15 billion. So yeah, like roughly around here was when we looked at it last time. So it was around 15 billion. Now it tanked to 13. So this is why we make these videos once a month, to just see trends in the market. And so it's just very interesting to look at these and how in 1 month, one of the weapons can just go down 2 billion. So yeah, as usual, once again, if you are in the phase of transitioning into full pen, like boss gear into Black Stars, I always recommend going into the main hand route first, and accuracy is very important. So anyway, down 2 billion for Tet. And as of a month ago, this is technically 140 to 1. Yeah, it was like 140, and then now it's like 150. I think this meant like the hard maximum, because whenever I see a Pen Black Star, they're either like mid-priced or minimum. It's very rare that you sell a Black Star at max price. It doesn't matter what class you are. So let's find something, for example, that is there's a Pen Black Star of, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be like either min or Oh, well, that one. 160 was the last one that sold last month. See? Last month, and it was at 160, and then the maximum went up to 168, which has not sold. So that's the things we look at. One is the last sale and the price of it currently. Interesting. Two blades. Last sale was at 3 days ago, 155. So yeah, that's like a little on the minimum side. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you see a pen Blackstar, yeah, you could probably list it at max, but will it sell at max is the huge thing we look at. And the answer is probably not. You're gonna have to sell it at minimum or like the middle of it. So yeah. Next, we're gonna look at awakening weapons, and then we'll look at the subs. So let's see, what do we have for Dark Knights? How much is it? Oh my god, 6.5 billion. So yeah, that's also another reason. Like, we looked at the main hand, right? And it was 7 billion for Zarka. And Dandy is like 6.5. Notice how it doesn't have any accuracy until you Capris it. That's why if you plan on grinding higher end spots where you do need accuracy, it's important. But I don't know. Even at pen, without the accuracy, it's not so great. You have to Capris it, and it's 500 mil cheaper. So, in terms of like value, you're gonna want to go main hand. Black Star. Let's see. 1 month ago, it was 158, which I think I remember looking at it. It was like roughly 15 billion. And I think it, for the most part, stayed the same. Like, obviously, the trend is down, but like, it's like either 1 billion less or mostly the same in terms of sale prices, because this looks very familiar from last month. So it's gone down a little, but like not that much. The real like huge loss is in the tax you pay for it. So awakening weapons, for the most part, stayed the same. Let's take a quick look at the pen sales and see where they're listed at. I'm pretty sure it's the same as like main hands anyway, if there are even any listed. Let's look at the relevant classes. Valk probably has a lot. Oh my god, there's no pen for Valks. People play Corsairs? I know people play Sage a lot. When was the last sale? 149 3 days ago? Huh. That's a max awakening weapon was like the minimum for main hands, so I guess that's kind of the same. But when you're looking at pen Black Stars, it's a little bit different. It does give accuracy, but it also does give a lot of extra item effect stats, which is what you look for as well. And so that's a little bit different. Once you're in the market for pen Black Stars, that's when you kind of have to think about things for a little. So sub weapons, this is one of those things that I can't really recommend people making to sell, because if you're going to make something for profit, like a Black Star, for example, I would recommend making an awakening or main hand, because that's generally more profitable. So let's look at these. So a lot of people have asked me, Kudum C20 versus pen Black Star. They are roughly the same. The difference is you're trading a little bit of accuracy for a little bit of monster damage. So I don't actually know how much, but it's not enough to make it like super relevant to the point where like you have to have both. So for me personally, I chose the Black Star route just because I like to have the weapons matching. And it is a little bit better for grinding, but at the trade-off of a little bit of accuracy. But for Dark Knights in particular, that trade-off was worth it. So I don't know. If you have questions about your class, feel free to ask. I'm sure some people who main that class can help you in the comments. Or like I might know a little bit about it to help you out. So anyway, let's see. Pen Kudum, 10 bill. That's kind of a lot, actually. Pen Nuver, 7 billion. So certain classes can get away with PvP and PvE with a Kudum. Some classes like Dark Knight, for example, do need a Nuver for PvP, and so you need both of them. And so if you're strictly a PvEer, stick to Blackstar. If you do a little bit of PvP, PvE, get a Nuver and a Kudum, it's probably a little bit cheaper to get those. Or, I mean, like, ultimately, I have both of them. Like, I have a Nuver and a Pen Blackstar for that, but ultimately, it's whatever. So generally, if you are enhancing for profit, my idea is don't make offhands to sell. Make, like, a main hand or awakening. You'll get a little bit more, just because when we looked at the other things, it was like at least 10 billion higher from min max or like median. So yeah, not good for sales, but it's good to have for yourself. Let's see, last month is at 120 and it's at 128, so that was only like a 6 bill difference. Either way, yeah, it's higher, but you shouldn't be making them for profit anyway. Another thing I want to look at before we look at like accessories and everything is the Alchemy Stones. So Vel's Hearts has been maxed. What is that graph? Why is it even like this? It should just be like a flat line max price, because what in the world? What even is this? Yeah, why is it even like this? You sell it at max, or you sell it at max. And why is that even a chart? I have no idea. It should just be a flat line max price. Weird. Here's how to solve the problem. Just raise the base price. Here's how to solve the problem for Splendids, because these are technically, in theory, better than Bells, assuming you are the 1% player where you have maxed out pen gear anyway. Here's how you fix this price. Like, multiply max by like 7, and that's probably, I think what people said is the average price to make one yourself. So maybe between 7 to 10, and multiply that, and then you could probably make one within that price range. Shinings, I don't think actually exist in the game. These are just like, you're either mega carried, and if you did it, you probably wouldn't sell it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that 622 was not even last year. It was like like a few years ago. And so if you have one, you're not selling it. I can guarantee you that. So the fact that there's 100 orders is kind of wild. Protection stones, kind of the same thing. Most people don't buy Resplendence to use it, because in my opinion, if you are actually using a defensive stone, for PvE, you would use the Perilla's Star, because it just straight up gives you 1 DP. I know this is more for PvE, but it's not bad. I personally also have a Resplendent that I bought a while ago. I rarely use it, but if I wanted to use it, I could. And yeah, I think everyone should get, like, if you want one, I guess try to just hope you can buy a Splendid off the market or make it yourself. As for life stones, this is a little bit different, because obviously this is the goal. I have a Khan's Heart as well. I personally actually used a Trent's Tier more, and you get this from graduating seasons, and it's like one of those rewards. And I actually like the life XP by 30% more than the 25 mastery, to be honest. And this one is free, and this one is like 10 billion. But yeah, I actually use this one more, especially for gathering a lot. Like, these are my life skill stats, and especially for gathering, I personally use this one more. And whether that's good or not, I don't know, but it helps me level up faster, which is nice. All right, so that's about it. Just wanted to see what was all about. So let's go to the fun part, armors. All right, helmet. As we all know, Labresca is worth a little bit more than the Fallen God, which is like Fallen God, Labresca. So Fallen God came out first, and then Labresca came out second. And so this one is still like a little bit more expensive. It's going down in price, which, you know, over time all items go down in price, which is expected. 208 to like 190. I don't think people are really selling them above 200, and if you were buying a Tet, Libresca, or Fallen God for over 200, I think you got scammed, to be honest. Like, this is one of the items where I truly think that you can make it yourself for a lot cheaper. You can watch my videos as well of me enhancing it, and you could see like what stacks I used as well and how I went about doing it. But Fallen God and Libresca, for your average person, with the prices they are, I think you can actually make a Tet for a lot cheaper than 200. That's just my opinion. Assuming you are using a relevant stack above like 200 from Try to Tet, I honestly think you can make this in a lot cheaper. But that's just me. You guys are free to do what you want. If you were going the buying route of should I buy a Libresca and just slam it myself, I would buy a duo. Like, this is duo, right? Base, Pry, duo, Try, Tet, Pen. I would buy a duo and then just slam the rest yourself, because the price jump is a lot higher. And so people have asked me, what stacks do you use for Fallen God? So from base to Pry, I personally use between like 90 and up, because they give you like the free stacks. So 90 and up from base to Pry, and then you add like 30 plus each of them until you get to like Try, and then this is where you just use the highest stack. So from Pry to Duo, I use like a 110, like 100 from free ones plus the Valks, so it's like 113, 115 and up. And then you just keep going from there. And then from Duo to Try, I've seen people click it from 130 all the way to 200. And then from Try to Tet, I personally use a 245, but I've seen people click it on like 200. So the price jump definitely is worth the 200 stack, in my opinion. These are actually worth more than Pen Black Stars, so I think it's worth using a higher stack if you are able to. And nowadays, when newer players ask me, is it better to get Gaiath or Griffin? Your ultimate goal is to be enhancing, or not enhancing, Capricing it up to get the Libresca. And so ultimately, you won't have these permanently, but for the time being of using them, I do actually value the Griffin's helmet all resistance over the 100 flat HP, because in this day and age of game, like, everyone is like mega cracked in gear. So basically, if you get CC'd, you lose the fight first. It is what it is. So if you have a 5% chance of surviving or resisting that CC, I value that so much more than 100 extra health, because that 100 does not mean anything nowadays. Obviously, it's good to have for like PvE, but PvP resistances are a lot more valuable. All right, so kind of everything we talked about before. Let's see how much Fallen Gods are. So we saw that the Libresca was like 200 billion, and this one is like 176, which is still very expensive, to the point where I do believe that, once again, making this yourself is a lot higher. I would buy it at Duo and slam the rest yourself. And wow, that's actually, is that Biohacks order? That has to be Biohacks of 1.4 trillion on Obliterating. But yeah, once again, these are the things that I think you should make yourself. This is where like things branch off. If you are going to make this yourself, go the red nose route, because it is cheaper to Capris. And why, I don't know, but back in the day, Dimtree was a lot better, because the 200 HP flat was a lot better than HP recovery. And in most games, not even just BDO, recovery is kind of a meme. And so like a flat HP pool is a lot better. But nowadays, when there's something better to go for, This is just going to be a temporary thing you get. So if you're graduating from seasons and you get to choose Red Nose or Dim Tree, choose the Red Nose. You can Capris it, turn it into Fallen God for a few billion cheaper. So as we know, the gloves are coming out with a new region, like what Fallen God Labresca's called. I think it's either a Dawn glove or it starts with a D. I don't remember. But either way, Begs is for accuracy players. Libers is evasion. Don't get Black Star armors. It's a meme. So get one of these two, depending on what class you play. If you don't know what you need, feel free to ask. I'm sure a lot of people will help you. And they are probably going to be the same cost in Capris anyway. So this is not one where I wouldn't recommend you just buy the cheapest one. Please pick the one that goes with your class. And if you don't know what your class is like focused on, you can find out mostly by like looking at various things. Like for example, for Dark Knights, you look at your passive, right? And then so we have accuracy and crit damage. So accuracy is not evasion, so we don't have a high base evasion. So DR would be a lot better for us. And then whereas like classes like Ninja and Kuno, they have evasion, so evasion stacking is a lot better. So that's why you would want to go for that one instead. But either way, generally, the general rule that I think everyone has, the whole community, is if you don't know whether to get one or the other yet, you probably DR, because evasion, you need a lot of stats to make it worthwhile. So either way, it's going to be a new glove coming in soon. Korea already has it, so you can probably just ask like the Korean BDO players, and we'll figure that out soon. In terms of shoes, same thing as the gloves. Uragon's is the DR route. Muskin is the evasion. Pick the same things as you would choose there. 12 billion for Pen Uru, and roughly the same for Muskins. Now, fun fact, evasion shoes used to actually be like literally half the price of DR. Now it more or less stabilized, but overall, the difference at Pen is actually a difference. So there's 79 DR for a base one. The one you see that is 95 is Capris 20. But yeah, the 79 DR for a base, and then there is 77 DP for Muskins, because that is the evasion route, and so it balances out more or less. So yeah, let's see. Accuracy, or no, accessories. Words are hard. All right, so we're just gonna speed run this one and just tell you like what are things to look for. All right, so Crescent rings are the baseline golden standard AP accessories. This is what you get when you're on a budget or you're just transitioning into actual gold tier accessories. Eye of the Ruins are the same thing as Crescents, but have HP on it. So like you see how it has 130, 100, 75, 50. Yeah, same like AP stat line, but has HP on it. And Tungrads are the AP version, which is generally more expensive because it has one extra AP. And then Ominous Rings are the accuracy version. So when you get to the point where you're looking at ring upgrades, right? Ask yourself, do you need the extra AP? Does it put you up into a new bracket? If so, get the AP ones. Do you play a class that wants to be more tanky? Then you could look at like either defensive rings or HP if you don't want to trade off too much AP for DP. So yeah. So what I actually thought of, and this was a few months ago as well, was do I want Eye of the Ruins rings or Tungrads? The difference between is like 130 HP per ring and an extra AP. I ultimately went with the AP Tungrads, right? But I figured for Dark Knights in particular, I am a glass cannon. I've already accepted that, and so I went for the AP one. Do I really need it? Did it push me up into a new bracket? Not really, but I was figuring, haha, AP monkey kind of thing. But either way, I actually did think about Eye of the Ruin side. I don't think they're bad at all. And Crescents, make sure to do the Jatina one to get your free one. That's 60 billion you don't have to spend by doing the Jatina quest. That's a lot of money, believe it or not. 60 billion. People think, haha, I can make that in like a month, and sure, but some people can make 60 billion in like a week, which is kind of wild to me. Like, I wish I had enough time to play like that. So the difference is like 84 billion for Eye of the Ruin, 60 for Crescents. The HP, do people value 20 billion for 100 HP? In my opinion, I personally don't. I think HP is good, but I don't think it's 20 billion value for an extra 130 each. To the point where if it's like that much of a gap, I would actually choose Tungrads. I would save up for like higher end and then get the extra AP, because that'll allow you to have more options when you go for the earrings later on, and we'll talk about that later. So eventually, when you get to a certain point in gear score, like AP, DP, and all that stuff, if you meet a certain bracket, you can start trading off some AP for like either defensive stats or like accuracy. So it's like kind of like rock, paper, scissors in a way. Like, you know, evasion gets beat out by accuracy. Accuracy gets beat out by AP. Evasion beats AP, kind of thing. It's like a triangle, rock, paper, scissors of what you have. I would say the general standard for most people is just AP, because that's like do more damage and hope they get hit. So either way, ominous rings, probably not. I think this is actually one of the worst choices for accuracy. Like, if you're going for the accuracy accessory route, I would recommend doing it with either necklace or belt instead, because that just gives you slightly more value. So going into the necklace route, Leighton, Ogre, Tungrad. These are all the AP routes. This Tungrad one is the one that gives Black Spirit Rage. Lunar is your accuracy, and then Deboreka is the end game, like full on AP. So obviously Deboreka, how would I fix this if I was Perlibus? Just raise the price, double, maybe triple the price of a pen Deboreka, and I guarantee you more people would sell them. Lunar necklaces. You know what's funny? Okay, so we saw this, right? Look at Deboreka's 40 AP for 126, and that's hard cap maximum. Pen Lunar, I believe this went up to like 200 at some point. And like, this is an accuracy version, not even full AP, and it's literally more. So they really need to re-look at the Deboreka prices and then just raise them. As a person who plays this game every day, it's not even hard. I'm pretty sure like everyone can tell you that like, this should be raised, but it's not. So this is a good option for your accuracy builders. It gives a lot for a decent trade-off of AP, and so you'll see a lot of people using this as well. When it comes to ogres and Leightons, these are the exact same thing, just different pictures and where to get it. So if you are trying to pick one, I personally have a pen ogre, right? My goal is pen Deboreka. But what you should do is you look at yours, right? Whether you're going for Tet or pen, look at the one that's cheaper and just buy that one, because I can assure you they are exactly the same. So 97 for Leighton, and yeah, roughly the same. Just whatever is like sold for cheaper that day when you're buying it, get the cheaper one. It really doesn't matter. And Tungrad, if you can get a Tungrad for cheaper than like the other two, definitely get that one, because it gives Black Spirit Rage for more. So I think that's good. Earring slot. This one is actually very difficult, because for earrings you have a lot of options, because earrings should always be the last upgrade you're going for, right? And so most people choose Distortions because it gives you the most AP and it allows you to try out new grind spots, get you up into new brackets. So like for your average player who isn't full like pen black stars and full pen accessories, you're probably going to have to push yourself into a new bracket somehow. And distortions are probably one of the better ways to do it just because they just give a lot of AP. But for me, I'm looking at options to trade off into like Dawn Earrings, to be honest. And I think that I could trade off a little bit of AP for accuracy, and I think my overall PvP experience might be a lot better. But for all of you guys, Tungrad is probably one of the worst choices you can make nowadays. So as you guys know, in Jatina, you can get the Crescent Ring, a Pen Narc Earring, or a Pen Tungrad Earring. I personally believe that the Crescent Ring is a good choice for your mid-tier players. Narc Earring is also good for mid to end game players. I personally have chosen Narc Earring because it allows me to grind and try out new spots as a safer experience. And because since I have distortions, it gives negative DP. And so using this would just literally shoot my DP a lot higher. So to the point where I'm just like, I could try a new spot safely. And that's good. So I think this is also very good, especially if you grind into comma areas. Distortions and Valha's Dawns are the exact same thing, but different places where you get like distortions at Star's End and Valha's from the Ataraxian dungeons and stuff. And Dawn's Earrings from the, what is it? The Calpheon place, the Dawn Monastery. What is it called? Something. Either way, the thing that gives you a public announcement that's like, here, this thing is spawning, and then like 15 other people try to like flag up on you. That's why I hate that spot so much. But anyway, this is the accuracy route. I might go for it. It gives stamina as well, but you're here for the accuracy. So up to you what you guys choose. This is a very hard decision between Distos, Dawns, and or Narcs. Look at your build before actually buying one. Ask yourself what you need more. And then for our final one, belts. So we have Basti belts, Voltaras, Tungrads, Turos, and Debarekas. So kind of like the rings, Basilisk is the equivalent of Crescents, the Golden Standard. Voltara is the Eye of the Runes equivalent. I personally have this one. And it's the same thing as a Basti belt, but gives HP on the side. So if we look at this, 69.5 billion, we'll just say 70 to round it up. Pen Basti, 46 billion. That's a huge price jump. And so I would personally go for the Basilisk belt because it's a lot cheaper, and 20 billion for like a newer to mid-tier player is actually a lot. And I don't think that the extra 125 HP is worth 20 billion until like very late game. So in my opinion, I would go Basti if you are a newer player. Tungrad is the AP version, right? It gives one more AP, and Black Spirit Rage, which I think Black Spirit Rage is not really good unless you are like a high-end PvPer. So I personally wouldn't recommend this to many people. If it puts you up into a new bracket, cool. But I think at the rate you can get 30 billion, there are probably other ways you can do that, like literally save up for a Pen Black Star or something. So I can't really recommend Tungrad belts. I do see people using it, but I just think for the price of it, like 100 billion, you could use that money elsewhere and get something better. Turo belts are accuracy, and I think this is a very solid option for, like, if you are choosing any accuracy slots, I would choose the necklace, which is the lunar that we talked about, and or a Turo belt, because it's the least trade-off of AP or and in price generally for the amount of stats you're gaining. And then Debareka is the equivalent of the necklace, like the Debareka necklace, except in belt version. How to fix it: same prices or same thing as before. Multiply this number by like between 3 to 5, and I guarantee you more people would be selling them. So yeah, those are for the most part the relevant items that I think are worth mentioning. We talked about light stones and stuff. Life tools for all of you life skillers out here. On NA, I believe the butcher knife is actually one of the cheaper ones, despite being the most popular life skill at 13 or 14 billion. I do believe that this one is a little bit more valuable, like it's 1 billion higher. And why? Is because high-end players like to do elixir rotations, which is like instead of using like a draft, for example, you're going to make your potions and elixirs yourself. So you generally have to get it, and so that's why it's more expensive. If you are just life skilling for like profit, like you're selling the raw materials, butcher knife is the way to go. Fluid collectors are for alchemy people who do it themselves and make their own potions. That's why it's expensive. Lumbering is for people who make their own like horse gear and all that stuff, or boat gear. It's a little bit trickier to talk about how much this one is because it's very niche. So for all of you life skillers who are out there making like your own boats and doing sailing, you're gonna need a lot of that. Pickaxe for all you people who are cooking and doing alchemy, you have to make your own tools. And so this is why these are probably up on the higher end, because you have to keep your supply up of cooking utensils and everything. So you're gonna be making them yourself. Tanning knives are for people who make their own like horse gear and everything. I think it's actually on the lower end of everything. Yeah, just because it's very niche. You don't, if you need it, you need it, but most people don't. And the hoe. Remember when Locky arrows were like relevant? I remember that. So the reason why these are actually more expensive is because gathering like herbs and flowers and everything actually is one of the higher end on the XP side of gathering, but you also use it for alchemy as well. So it is pretty important. It's just like if you gather with the hoe for like flowers and alchemy stuff, you're using it for yourself, not really for profit. So it is good, but I don't think it's like good if you're trying to sell it to the market. If your overall goal is to get things, sell it to the market, and that's it, butcher knife is the way to go. Just go like bear or something and collect meat, sell it, and you're good. Otherwise, if you know what you're doing and have your own setup, fluid collector, hoe is the good way. Or if you're making other like niche stuff like lumbering axe and tanning knives are other options. So that's just my opinion on various life skills. I may not have the highest numbers, but I do have a general idea of what I'm talking about when I say I've done a lot of gathering. So either way, with that said, I know it's been like a little under 40 minutes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We'll make another one in May when we get a chance. But if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. My videos are generally for people who are thinking about trying the game, so new players, returning players, and people who just like getting or want to get better at the game in general. So hopefully you guys have found this very informative, and we have a link in the description to the playlist so you can see my adventures throughout 2023. We also have a 2022 playlist, by the way. And I've been playing this game since the beta, so 7 years now. And back in the day, I didn't have all these guides to help me. I kind of had to figure this out. I've seen a lot of stuff in the days of how this game has improved, class balance, and everything. So hopefully I can share my information with you guys and help you guys get better at it. So with that said, been talking for 40 minutes. That's kind of a lot. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, and would love to see you guys come back. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.